Welcome to Cavan TV's News and Views. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to Positive Age for the use of the studio here in Drummondlea, and I'd like to say thank you to Cyro for the use of their gigabit broadband. I'd like to say Happy New Year to all the customers who took out an ad with Cavan TV and thanked all their customers for their custom all over the year. Once again, we are Cavan TV and we're back in business. My first guest in the studio this year is no stranger to Cavan TV and indeed no stranger to Cavan. I'd like to welcome Connie OReilly. Welcome, Connie. Of course, as you know, Connie is a businessman here in Cavan and in New York, famous for O'Reilly's bars and restaurants, and of course the beautiful 4-star Crover house out there on the shores of Lough Sheelin out in Mount Nugent, Connie, the jewel in the crown, as it were.
Oh, okay, thank you.
And of course, Connie, you welcome home. You came home there at the end of December, and you came home for the Cavan House Draw, which was very successful. And perhaps you tell us all about that, because you do know all about the Cavan Draw, and you do know about the Polo Grounds.
Yes. The House Draw was a fundraising effort. We kicked it off about a year ago. We had a launch in Crover Park last April, and we sold tickets for the house in America and all over the world online and stuff like that. We did very, very well out of it. We have enough money now to start the project. We'll be looking for corporate funding to drive it on further, i.e. fitness hub and athletic direction and stuff like that.
Just to explain people the Polo Grounds, of course that's a reference to the All-Ireland game that took place between Cavan and Kerry in 1947, when Ireland was frozen at the time and they were not able to play the game here in Ireland. So they went to New York, to the Polo Grounds in New York, and that's where the concept of this comes from.
The Cavan and Kerry played the All-Ireland 47 there, and it was to commemorate the 100th commemoration of Angurtamore, where 1 million Irish people starved to death and 2 million had to leave the country to seek employment and jobs and food and send money back to Ireland. But that game was of huge significance to Cavan, particularly for us, because it was the only All-Ireland that was played outside of Ireland or will be played outside of Ireland, and Cavan won it. And we come up with the idea of...
Hopefully it's not the only one we'll ever win either.
Yeah, well, when we get this centre of excellence up, we can... So Martin McGovern, Terry Hyland, Paddy Shane, Jerry Brady and myself came up with the idea last 5 years ago. Perhaps the need for a centre of excellence, and what better way than name a centre of excellence, only a place where we won an amazing game. And we have the Polo Grounds in Breffni Park, at the back of Breffni Park, next to the Royal School and the stand. Of
course, that is new land that has been acquired in the last couple of years by the Cavan County Club.
We've got about approximately 30 acres there of new land.
That's a good talk.
So it's a good bit of land.
So Centre of Excellence, Connie, just explain that for folk who might say that covers a multitude, but you're talking the addition of 3 more football pitches, and one of them will be specifically for ladies, as ladies GAA is doing very well in the county at the moment, and it's up and coming and heading places.
And ladies GAA support Cavan GAA very strongly, not just in Cavan but in New York as well. The Cavan ladies were great supporters of us trying to raise money here. So we'll have plenty of grounds. We'll have 3 new pitches, the practice pitch which is there already, the 3G pitch which is there already, and Breffni Park, along with the athletic fitness centre for strength and conditioning and for development. But the whole idea is to have our senior squads rubbing shoulders with our junior squads, let it be boys or girls, and like that. So as the younger guys are coming off, the senior guys are walking on. And
of course, your life in football, in the sport, would be a short one. There isn't a long span there between junior and senior, relatively speaking. There isn't.
No. And for asking a young boy or girl to give us 7 or 8 or 10 years, it's an incredible part of their lives that what they do for our county is amazing.
Yeah, And just to get back there and to take in the broad spectrum of all of that, we'll talk about lifestyles. And at the moment, as you know and I know, that Ireland in particular and Europe are heading for obesity, a very obese young population, and perhaps what you're doing there, making a centre of excellence, will get more people involved in an activity, whether it be sporting or just out walking the dog, or there would be a running track as well, I believe. Yeah. Just to get out, to encourage not just sportsmen, but people in general to get out and be more active.
Absolutely, and even for parents dropping the kids off, if they're not involved with sports, just to walk around the tracks and or run around or do a little fishing in that river and stuff like that.
Make it a family occasion. You don't have to drop and run. You can stay there and do something. Of course, there would be clubs on there. It would be like gyms, gymnasiums on the ground and everything, on the grounds as well.
We'll have all that. We'll have state-of-the-art gymnasiums. You'll be able to working out, as you're working out at the gym, you can look out through this glass, huge wall of glass, and look out over the Polo Grounds, and the other side of it, with kids playing handball and camogie and hurling, practicing against walls, and kids playing football, and
so that's a great dream, and it's coming to fruition. At the draw of the Cavan Club the other night, I was speaking to somebody, and I said, "Can you put a time frame on it? Can you give us a year?"
Yeah.
For completion or nearing completion, at least.
Not going to put a time frame on it, because we did some switching with the council and we have to reapply for planning permission. Obviously, we want to get it up and running as quickly as possible.
It'll be phased in.
It'll be phased. We need to get pitches, and we need to get one pitch up and running, hopefully within this coming year, and perhaps can play a game on it maybe in September of 2020 or something, if depending on weather conditions and grass.
It's a very ambitious project. Just to throw out some facts about the Cavan draw, I think how many tickets were sold? 1,380. Not 1,000. 11,380 tickets were sold. That gives you some idea. The house itself, the prize was worth 375,000 in Dublin, which was won by a very unusual name, shall we say?
Capitelli, I think, is
that's
a gentleman from India, and
a gentleman from India who bought his €100 ticket like everybody else, and was in for the draw.
He bought the ticket the day before and bought it online.
That was a great luck, and that's the luck of the draw. Yeah. And so that leaves you then with a good starting base to start your projects.
Yes, we have enough money to start the project with 3 pitches, and probably get 2 of them sown, the grass sown on them. But, there's a lot of infrastructure goes into that, lighting and drainage and all that stuff. So we're working on it. Kieran Callahan is our chairman, and he's working on a state-of-the-art project that is very exciting and very eco-friendly. And we're going to be the only county in Ireland with its centre of excellence in the centre of the county, in the home, right alongside the home pitch. No other county has it. Like Tyrone have one, but it's not in their home pitch. Kerry have it, but not in their home pitch. We're unique in that situation.
Very good. Speaking of the big draw, Connie, is there? It was a very well organised night in the Kilmore. It was live streamed. According to reports, it was well received and great stuff. Is there anybody you'd like to thank from that night?
Well, leading up to that night, the amount of work that the committee did here. I'm not going to get into mention names, they know who they are, but it was a pleasure to work with them in the States, working with the Cavan Association, the Cavan Football Club in New York. They were tremendous help, the Cavan Ladies Football Club as well. But the Cavan Diaspora in Philadelphia were outstanding, plus people in Chicago and Boston and in San Francisco. It's just
a good
nice.
Percentage of the tickets were sold were bought by the diaspora.
Yeah, the hard copy tickets, the ones which we were selling, were probably over 2,500 were sold in America, and I would have to venture to say another 500 were sold online. So all in all, in the States,
very good support.
I would say 3,000 tickets, which is a significant amount, $300,000. And over the past 5 years, we've raised quite a bit of money for Cavan. I think it's over $400,000 at this stage.
Excellent. It's great to see the diaspora doing that. And I'd like to say again that once again that to our people who watch us, a large amount of the diaspora watch us, and they like to hear the local news and they like to be mentioned in the news as well. So well done, folks. We're watching you, watching us. Connie, of course, that's good, and that project is going to be ongoing.
Yeah.
And of course there will be further down the line further fundraisers for that to help that and bring that dream to fruition. Yeah. But now you're also involved and also talking about Cavan Calling, which is another great event, is happening this August in County Cavan, and that is Cavan Calling its diaspora. Please come home, please visit Cavan. Yeah. Please come home to Cavan. And
it's just really getting people back to Cavan, back to visit.
Where did that idea come from?
The Cavan County Council came up at first, and they approached us in America, and we thought it was a good idea.
Was that your organisation, the Cavan Association in New York? So they got in touch with them and started up Cavan Calling.
Yeah, it was just a chance to send a message out there to come back to Cavan. There's festivities going on. There's concerts. There's
a lot of music.
Yeah. And
when will the launch of that be now, or has it been yet?
It's pretty much ongoing, but certainly by St. Patrick's Day in America, we'll launch it. Like I know the Cavan County Council members are coming out, so we'll do it that weekend.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to say as well, sorry for putting in there, that Cavan St. Patrick's Day is a great day for Cavan, and I'd like to say that the parade in Cavan is beamed all through the world, seen all over the world, live streamed all over the world. Please do log on and see us on that day. And again, hi to all the folk, and don't be shy and send in your requests and say hi to all the folk in Cavan on the day. Sorry, Connie, you're saying.
That's good. Also to mention that the Cavan first responders from the fire brigade, the ambulance drivers and ambulance people and the police, they're coming to New York to march on this with the New York Police Department, with the New York Fire Department, with the Cavan Association. So they're arriving out on the 14th of March, and they're going to be staying with us for 4 or 5 days. There's about 36 of them coming. So we're very excited about that, to have them march. They're going to be honoured by Fire Department out there and by the Police Department out in New York.
Which you'd like to say as well that many members of those departments are actually Irish people. Irish people.
And we'll have a police escort for them in and out of the airport.
That sounds really exciting,
It's a nice touch. The good people, first responders are very much, we take them for granted sometimes.
They're trained paramedics.
And the horrific situations that these people come upon at times are just, could be life-changing. So it's nice to be able to honour them and
to thank them on the day. Now, as well, Cavan County Council, in conjunction with yourself, have organised a nice prize for anybody who'd like to email Cavan County Council and talk about Cavan Calling.
Yeah, there's no money involved in this. This is a gift that Cavan County Council and I have come up with. So it's 2 All-Ireland tickets for the last Sunday in August. I believe it's the 29th. The All-Ireland football final, 2 All-Ireland tickets for that, and a voucher for 2 airline tickets to travel back from wherever you win this. It could be in Bombay, or it could be Dubai, or it could be America, wherever, or England. And then a 2-night stay in a hotel in Dublin. And
that's a fantastic prize. And all they have to do is email Cavan County Council.
Cavan, give us your email, and it'll be the lucky winner will be drawn, and there's no cost.
Connie, I interviewed you about 2 years ago, and you told me of your sight, of your vision when you were out on Lough Sheelin and you saw little old Crover House as it was then. It's a very impressive building, and I must say, to give you the history of Crover House as well, it was established the exact same year, which is 200 years, I think, this year. What was the date?
260 years.
260 years.
Yeah.
So Crover House was established as a kind of a farmhouse, guest house, the same year as the Guinness Company.
That's correct.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So you've celebrated your 260th year this year.
Yes.
But you looked out over the lake and you saw little old Crover House as it was then, and you had a dream and a vision. And to date, and we can see it there up behind it in the background. We can see Crover House, the 4-star hotel there in its night glory. And once again, Connie, you are bringing your dream and your vision to force with the Polo Grounds.
Yes.
And well done, and thanks for the people of Cavan, and as well you are including the diaspora and giving them a chance in seeing this vision come true as well.
Oh yeah, and I have to say that the diaspora that people went to in America appreciate and came to me and said, we appreciate you including us in this. So there's a goodwill there that's, you can't put a price on it. It's just a boost that I get out of it. It's the right thing to do. They feel it's the right thing to do. So we're all very proud of it.
Yeah. And sad to say at this time as well that people still are emigrating to Ireland. There's still young people with qualifications and degrees still see the need to leave Ireland and go and work abroad for a few years at least. And I'd like to say as well that the diaspora who've already forged a path in that kind of work are helpful to those people in showing them the way.
Yes, yeah.
So it's all payback time really for people, isn't it?
There's nothing wrong with a person leaving for a few years to test their skills in the outside world, you know.
Such as the world nowadays, maybe it is the way to go,
And it is a learning curve, whether it's, you know, what you're doing. But these young people are leaving with third-level education. They're not sweeping the streets. I'm not saying nothing wrong with that, by no means. We did that when we had to do it. But we're heading into CEOs of companies now, and we're starting at towards the top level, not at the door coming in.
It's happening in all the professions, medical, legal, teaching profession. It's happening. That's the way it is. And it's a downside to see our young people leaving, but the good side is they will come back in 10, 15 years' time with their families, and they will have the benefit of their life abroad and their experience. Yeah,
and also they'll come back as CEOs of companies and stuff like that and bring the companies open up a branch.
Maybe some business.
And we're not talking about with lower end companies. We're talking about high tech companies and companies that will command qualifications, better education, stuff like that. So all good things.
You emigrated from Ireland, from Cavan, when you were a mere 16-year-old, which is very young, and you've seen a good few years, and you've lived longer in in New York than you have lived in Ireland. And where do you feel your home is?
I would like to think that I have a home in New York, and in Ireland. It just feels nice to come back. It feels like home that I've never left. You know?
Is Ireland a different pace than New York?
It is. It's a more laid back place. New York is a good city. It's also a young person's city, you know.
Ireland is changing too, you know. You can see different multinational. You can see so many different nations of people in our streets nowadays, which you didn't see before. Ireland is changing too. Can you see that?
I see that. But remember what we learned at school. They become more Irish than the Irish themselves. So I'm not worried about it.
Okay, that's a good concept.
I think that whether they come from Nigeria or Poland or any Eastern or African, Eastern European or African country, and if you're the kids are playing sports.
They're involved in Irish music, we can say all that.
Yeah.
What do you think of an Irish person who has not travelled abroad, who has worked and lived all their life in Ireland? Do you think they're missing out on anything?
No, if that's what they decided to do or decide to do, that's perfectly fine also. You don't have to leave to gain experiences. You can be quite happy at home in Ballinara, Garrymore, as we know, with your neighbours and your friends. And my aunt, who raised me, she died at 93 years of age, comfortably in her own home, and she was a person that could never leave Ireland back then, because she was quite happy with her neighbours and her surroundings.
If there's anything that you got a chance to live your life, which is an impossible question, but a hypothetical question, to live your life all over again, would you leave Ireland at 16?
Yes.
You would?
I would do the same thing I did again. Try to reduce the mistakes, but it's by mistakes we learn. And if we never made mistakes, which we all have, we wouldn't learn from them. You know?
So I would say if somebody came to you and said, I'm thinking, and I've heard it said, and tell me if it's true or not, that Irish people who've already left and paved the way like themselves, they are great for giving young people like that a chance.
Yes, yeah. But hiring Irish people is a win-win because they're smart. I'm in the bar and restaurant business in New York City, and our bars, they're all Irish people behind the bars because we're the best at it. We look at people in the eye, we acknowledge them, and
well, you need a bit of psychology to work behind a bar. You have to deal with people, you have to deal with the personalities of people, and you have to deal with their problems, and you have to know how to cope with the different people, don't you? There's not just serving the drink, you know. Yeah,
I think the best psychology you get in Ireland has been hanging around with your friends and being told to take a hike every once. I get lost. I can't use the language on TV, but I'm sure that viewers know. And that's part of who we are as well, to be able to communicate and interact with other people, and we're not shy about it.
Okay, Connie, thank you for talking to us about the Polo Ground. Great work in the Polo Ground. It's a dream, and I can see that it's coming through. Your own dream of Crover House came true. You did a fantastic job. And folks, Crover House there, fantastic place. 4-star hotel out there, sorry, on the shores of Lough Sheelin. It's a little island in its own. If you go there for the weekend, you don't need to go anywhere else. But if I said to you, Connie, in 1 minute, and you have the advice of a man who has travelled and experienced the world, what would you say to somebody about their life?
Travel, see the world. Don't have somebody else tell you about it. You need to see it. Feel it for yourself. Go there.
Well, there you have, folks. I'd like to thank very much to Connie OReilly for talking to us this evening on Cavan TV. And once again, Tommy, or Connie, it's great that you called in to see us on your visit home. And thanks and regards to all your family and to all the Irish who watch us, who log on and watch us in New York and all over the world. Great. Thank you once again from Cavan TV.
Thank you, Anya.
Okay, thank you.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks.